the regular meeting council to order at 3:28 p.m. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting June 10th as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that omnibus motion adopts the following in accordance with council's procedure bylaw. May 27th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented and the strategic priorities chart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have my motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry.
If I may, there's also the May 13th minutes attached to the bundle. Do we need to receive those as well?
Very good eye, Councillor Smith. It's actually because of the way that we are now attaching the minutes. So because the minutes from the 27th had the minutes from the 13th attached to it, it has attached. So now you are going to see that kind of roll over. I know it's confusing. It's because when you attach the minutes, it's now a hyperlink. So because we have the minutes from the 27th, there's also a hyperlink within there to the 13th. That might be an issue. We're going to look into that because I don't want it to continue rolling where then every minute going forward from here on out is going to do that.
Thank you.
We don't need to accept them, but we will look into it. Thank you.
Okay. So councillor's motion, just with the May 27th minutes, is on the floor. All in favor? Carried. Any public comments on agenda items only before we get started? See none, hear none. Second and third reading for bylaw 4618-2023, an unopened portion of 7th Ave. Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The purpose of the report before you is to recommend that Council give second and third readings to bylaw 4618-2023, and that Council direct town administration to prepare the required utility right-of-way, and to direct town administration to bring a report to Council recommending that that Council declare the land as surplus to municipal needs. Administration actually no longer needs to prepare an access easement agreement. After publishing the report, we did reconnect with the owner of 725 3rd Street Southeast, and he actually did confirm that he no longer wishes to have an access easement agreement. His land isn't really he doesn't really require it because he owns 3 pieces of land and they do have access to the road. There is a town water line within the land, so that is why a utility right-of-way agreement is required. As part of this process, all abutting property owners were notified and there were no concerns received. We have now heard back from Alberta Transportation. The Minister of Transportation has noted no concerns with closing the unopened road allowance, so the town is able to move forward with the second and third reading. After third reading, and then the town would need to declare the land as surplus. Planning staff will work with legislative services to complete the sale with the abutting property owners. Are there any questions on this item?
No questions from council. Ask for a motion from Councillor Smith. The council gives second reading to bylaw 4618-2023, and the council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of the previously mentioned bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4618-2023, and that council direct town administration to prepare the required utility right-of-way agreement and the required access easement agreement, and direct town administration to bring a report to council recommending that council declare the land as surplus to municipal needs.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sarah. Long time coming. Clean Energy Improvement Program, funding source, Jocelyn.
Hello again. Okay, so the Clean Energy Improvement Program provides residential property owners access to competitive long-term financing for a wide range of energy-efficient upgrades, such as insulation, upgrading doors and windows, replacing furnaces and hot water tanks, or adding solar systems to their home. The financing payments are integrated into their property taxes, and if they sell their home, there is an opportunity to pay out the loan or to leave the loan with the house. Administration is seeking council's approval to seek grant loan funding through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to fund the first 4 years of the program. Does council have any questions?
This was a long discussion at the last meeting, so see no questions from council. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council direct administration to seek grant funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities in order to launch a clean energy improvement program.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Jocelyn?
Thank you.
Security variance, Dream Developments, Phase 4, Gennady and Schlein.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor and Council. Administration is here today as a follow-up to the delegation that Dream brought forward on May 27th, 2024, with a request to for the town to accept bond as security form and for a security reduction. Administration has previously researched the merits of a bond when a similar request was made for Montrose Phase 3 and concluded that staff would have no concerns in accepting bond as a form of payment. This is our recommendation here. However, we are also recommending that council deny the request for a security reduction for Montrose Phase 4. And this request would be exclusive to Montrose Phase 4 only as it relates to the security policy.
Any questions for Gennady? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is, I guess, a similar response to the earlier request for Montrose 3. It's a consistent approach in terms of what has been requested of the town. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. So similar request to Montrose Phase 3, where they also asked for a bond to be accepted, and I believe we're asking for a security reduction as well. And so we're just following the same recommendation that we had for Phase 3 at this time.
Will we be exploring a change in the amount that we're asking by way of security, or is that something that will be up for review?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I think it's important to provide an update on our subdivision and development security policy. We are currently reviewing it and have come quite a ways in terms of changes that we want to make to it. Right now we're doing stakeholder engagement. We just actually started that today, so we'll be collecting information from our developers for 2 weeks. And then we're going to collect that information, see how it aligns with how we want to move forward with that, and then we'll be bringing it before council, probably to a committee of the whole meeting, to get a feeling from our council members to see if we want to go ahead and make some changes to our policy. We're trying to make it more developer friendly. So the reason why we wouldn't be suggesting to do a reduction at this point is because we have some ideas on how we want to move ahead with the policy, but we just haven't yet presented them to council. Keeping in mind that it is still helping the developer substantially by accepting a bond at this time. In fact, one of the proposals that we'll be bringing to council is to permanently move ahead with bonds. They're working really well at this point, so they're not going to be out of pocket necessarily with that amount of money for their security because it's going through a bond. So it's still helping them out, but we do have some really positive changes that we'll be proposing to council, and I think after this phase, it's just mostly a timing issue right now. We just haven't quite got to council with these proposed changes yet. Does that help? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any further questions? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council accept a bond as a security for Montrose Phase 4 subdivision and that council deny the request for a security reduction for Montrose Phase 4.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Shalane. Thanks, Gennady.
Thank you.
Town plan approval to refer the plan to the CMRB. Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is to recommend that Council direct administration to refer the draft town plan to the Calgary Metropolitan Region Board, or CMRB, for their approval process. Once the plan is sent to CMRB, their process begins with a review from a third-party consultant to ensure that the plan is in full compliance with the CMRB growth plan. Then, member municipalities will be given the opportunity to review the plan again to ensure full compliance with the growth plan. Administration has already completed their compliance matrix, and we don't see any concerns with compliance. The town plan requires CMRB approval before it can be given second and third reading by council. In addition, CMRB has made it clear that any amendments council may wish to see as a result of public engagement or the public hearing need to be completed prior to being referred to CMRB. And if amendments need to occur post CMRB referral, then we'll need to resubmit as an amendment. There has been extensive public consultation throughout the process with the town plan. Work started in 2022 with the appointment by council of a task force, and that really started the development of the program for the preparation of the plan. A summary of all of the public engagement work to date is found in the foundation report, which is Appendix 4 of the plan. And we did have the public hearing at the last council meeting. And at that public hearing, one individual did speak about concerns with the cost of a variety of different projects that were listed in Appendix 3, and that's Parks, Trails, and Open Space Action Plan. After that comment, administration did confirm that this is just a list of potential projects, and they will only be acted upon if it's determined that those are priorities to the town and that they are feasible in the context of the town's budget. The same individual also asked some questions about the electric scooter use in the town, particularly within the context of safety. That is an item that administration will need to address outside the context of the town plan and will be led by bylaw enforcement. Then a letter from Dream, who is one of our local developers, was read. In the letter, they request that the town implement the policies thoughtfully and practically. The town also received a letter, which is attached in your information packages, from Foothills County. The town does appreciate Foothills County support regarding the town's intention to create a dark sky standard. And we also appreciate their not supporting any annexations throughout the lifetime of the plan. We are on the same page in that regard. They did bring up some questions about agricultural policies. So prior to submitting to the CMRB, the town needs to make sure that the town plan is in its full and final form. Administration needs to know if council wishes to pursue any further amendments to the town plan in response to the comments from the public hearing, public engagement, or referral comments. In particular, the county is suggesting strengthening our policy framework as an agricultural hub for the region, and we could certainly put together some additional policies on that subject. And additionally, members of council have brought forward comments about increasing density of neighborhoods that may impact this the small town feel. That concludes my report. Are there any questions or comments from council?
Thanks, Sarah. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm curious, the notation about adding agricultural policies to the plan. What does that entail, and is that something that at this point in the process we need to revisit, or is it something, is it a nice to have? Like, what is that? Please?
Yeah, it's coming from the letter from the county, and the town does have an entire section about the town being a hub for agriculture, like being an agricultural hub, as well as being a healthcare hub. I've read those policies. The county is right that they are mostly within the context of urban agriculture, or the town as an urban center that's supporting agricultural endeavors outside of the town. I think that what we have is strong and appropriate. However, the administration would be able to come up with additional policies if council believes that we should add something to satisfy the Foothills County.
Thank you. I think what's there is quite exhaustive in terms of what we've done as a group, but I certainly would be open to any other feedback. I don't know that that's necessary in my opinion.
Councillor Nychuk?
No need. Absolutely none.
Councillor Kinghorn?
Okay, I'll throw it out there. They want us to be more ag-focused, and here they are actively soliciting agricultural businesses within our community to move out to the county. So that is what it is. NOPs. If we were to put in some NOPs, neighborhood outlook plans, would this whole document have to go back to the CMRB then for approval, or can we, once this plan is approved, can we add in some NOPs for specific neighborhoods?
We can certainly add in neighborhood outline plans, and we can also add in what we're calling local area plans for existing neighborhoods. So, for example, section 1.1A.2 says the town shall develop local area plans for existing 8 neighborhoods in consultation with the community, with opportunities for increased density by 2028. So if we were to do that, then we would not need to take this plan back for any additional CMRB approval.
Okay.
Same with neighborhood outline plans. Those NOPs are typically for new neighborhoods. Both LAPs and NOPs, neither of those are bylaw documents, so they do not need to go to CMRB for their approval. The town can approve them in an independent fashion.
Awesome, thank you.
I was just trying to get Marcel to bring up page 112 of the agenda, page 25 of the land use plan. In the northeast corner of town, Sarah, of course, we've got the 112th Street properties that are designated commercial, light industrial. Now, these properties are what designates the ASP that we're currently working on. 100, well, I don't know, it says page 25 on the land use concept map, yeah. Map 4, land use concept map. Sorry, there's page 25 of one, page 112 of another. You got what, page 17?
I've got page 17 in front of me.
Okay, perfect. That's the right one. So that top right corner there.
Yes.
There's two pieces. So there's the purple area that's the commercial light industrial, and then there's that red triangle that's triangle special study area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that piece. So this is my question. The ASP that we're doing on the 112th Street properties. Is it designated, the properties that are located within, for that ASP, are they only those purple properties?
Yes, that is literally the map that I'm putting out in our request for proposals document that will be reviewed by potential consultants.
Right.
I'm just
So-
including that land.
My question is my belief is that that special study area triangle should be part of that ASP.
Okay, we can add that, absolutely.
But do we need to amend this town plan to make that red triangle purple? Is that necessary, or you guys can just choose what properties go into the ASP?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. If we want, because the town plan hasn't been approved yet, so that change can be made as we speak without having to amend the town plan, because still the town plan in draft that hasn't been finalized. And practically, that has been identified prior to the idea of the ASP came forward.
Right.
So now we have the ASP. It would make sense to have a larger portion of the area, including that triangle. In fact, if even the David's Pop, if he's interested, would have added more of his land as well. But at this point, adding the triangle would make sense to be part of the ASP.
More land if that owner wants
That's right.
to pay for his ASP.
Of course.
We're not doing that, right? So, but the reason why I bring that red area up is because if we're doing new roadways and everything, and there's a roundabout being proposed before, et cetera, that chunk of land will be part of that, whatever the transportation corridor. So if we can bring that all together, just to have the one chunk, and then it's consistent in the town plan, it's consistent with what we're doing with the ASP. Does that make sense? Okay.
Mayor?
Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you. Can I get some clarification on why it was called a triangle special study area? Is there something there that makes it special, or is it just the shape of the land, or, you know, I've never heard of a triangle special study area before, so I think it's kind of cool to have one, but.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
We're
I
the
think-
only ones.
Yeah.
We got our triangle.
Yeah, the area came out when we worked with the provincial government on the 498 Avenue. So that piece became really orphaned, and it belonged to nowhere, and it became really challenging to develop by itself. So it became an idea to really do a special study to understand its viability, its use, its impacts, and whatnot. That's why we came up with the idea of special study area. Just like the former airstrip, it became also special study area because it's just an isolated land that, without really having a close look at it separately, it would be difficult to determine the future use of that area.
The other one is a rectangle special study area. We can. Look deep. All good? No further questions? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that Council direct administration to refer bylaw 4629-2024 as presented to the Calgary Metropolitan Region Board for their approval process.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Lead. Thanks, Sarah. It's a big move. It's the first one that'll land in front of CMRB for a town plan, won't it?
Yeah, that's right, the first one.
See what they do with this. Signing authority policy amendment. Jody?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The signing authority policy was adopted in September of 2023, and after a few months in practice, an issue was identified by our Planning and Development Division. The initial policy didn't include the approval or signing of a development permit, which is directly connected to a notice of decision, so it was simply an oversight. The development permit is an extension of the notice of decision, and it is the final approval once any prior to release conditions of a notice of decision, if there are any, are actually completed. Along with this, there was also the requirement for a notice of decision to be approved or signed by a senior development officer or planner 2, which was causing some challenges and potentially delays. Therefore, the proposed amendments in front of you are to include a development permit on the same line as the notice of decision, and have that approval now include the development officer, planner 1, or planning and development technician, in addition to the senior development officer or planner 2 for approval. Are there any questions?
No questions from council. Thanks, Jody. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council adopt the amended signing authority policy number 085.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have my motion.
All in favor? Carried. Any councillor reports? Any board and committee reports? Councillor Nychuk?
Thanks. EAC, what are we, EAC, Emergency Advisory Committee, that we met this morning? Yeah, we were there, that was this morning, yeah. Just some updates, Councillor Kinghorn brought up a good point about communication with the community, and we had our emergency team update us on a number of things, and jump in, Councillor Kinghorn, if I guess I miss anything. And really just at a high level, any concerns regarding high water events or whatnot. We're seeing relatively normal outflows from the mountains and the basin, the catch basin for water. So there's no concerns from our emergency team right now. They've gone through the checklist of everything that happens in the spring. So they've gone through all of that. All the preparedness is in place. All the tests that needed to be done in terms of the management of events like that has been done. So I just wanted to bring that forward because there has been some questions in the community about where we stand with that. Nothing to raise. Website? Oh, that it was going to go on to the website as well. Yes. So that information, that touch point that I gave will be in more detail, that it'll be accessible there. And then we also made note of annually ensuring that towards the end of May, the the latest council meeting, that group would come and present to us just to give those things instead of a committee meeting, holy, that was tough to say, that it would be presented here in council, so it would be an open forum for the public to see and hear. So there's an update for you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Shepherd Park has been very busy preparing for their season. They received a very generous donation via the landfill program. The part-time student, same gal, is back on board this year. Newsletters are going out. The garden tour, Heritage Day, and the threshing are all planning and well underway. And the crop has been planted, just so you all know, it's wheat this year for the threshing bee. And they wanted to express a very special thank you to Nicole Dick for the improvements to the ramp and the access of the building. That's all.
Thanks, Councillor Walsh. No other reports? Any public comments before we move on? Al?
I have a question.
Yeah.
About this funding for clean energy thing.
Can you come up, Al, just so that, just so we can, because we're on YouTube and stuff nowadays. So. Want to make sure you're heard. Yeah.
Okay, can I be heard? I've been here for a little while, so maybe this has been handled before, but $50,000, I make an assumption that would be available to individual applicants. So I'm gathering that this could be quite a huge pot of money somewhere to be set aside in case these requests come by. And I heard somebody talking about grant funding. What happens if you don't get the grant funding?
If the grant funding is not, so the premise of the Community Energy Improvement Program is it's self-funded through both either the grant format or applied to taxation, so those residents pay for it, pay for the improvements that happen to their homes. the grant funding still would have to be replaced even under the grant program, but it would require us not to borrow money for that 4-year period to cover those costs, the immediate cost of any improvements to those residents' homes. So residents under the program will be able to finance through their taxation program that runs with the property and pay back the municipality over a period of 20 years. So if the grant does not come forward, then council will have to make a decision whether or not we continue with the program or not and self-fund it through our own reserves or our own borrowing capacity, or cease even consideration of that program.
So once you get a policy in place, and people will be expecting to be able to make use of this, and if they don't get grant funding and this money then is allocated to individuals from various reserve funds, why are the general population of High River, through this funding process then, forwarding money to individual residents or businesses to be paid back over a period of 20 years? That's costing me and all of you money as I see that.
Actually, it's revenue neutral, because at the end of the day, will charge an interest rate associated with that, and through the FCM program, the interest rate will be charged out at 3.5%, 3.5 to 4%. If we borrowed the money, we could charge up to 8% interest rate on that money from that perspective on the residents.
So you're prepared to borrow money?
Not necessarily, Mr.
Well,
Brander.
ultimately, I heard you say that, if you can't find funding otherwise, and then the town would have to pay interest on that money, and then the resident applicants would be required to repay the regular loan, but at an accelerated interest rate to recoup the cost.
That's correct.
So that's how it gets to be revenue neutral?
Yeah. So if the FCM money does not come forward, we'll bring back a report to council whether or not to proceed or not, and that will be a decision of council.
Okay. Well, I just see this as a bit of a trap, so I wanted to be clear that where the money's coming from and how it gets repaid. Thank you.
Any other public comments? None? Council correspondence requiring action. High River District Healthcare Foundation sponsorship that we do every year. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith, the Council Direct Administration, to donate $5,000 to be premier sponsor for the High River District Healthcare Foundation dinner and auction.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. National Indigenous Peoples' Day Proclamation, also the one that we do every year, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that Council proclaim June 21st, 2024 as the Town of High River's Indigenous Peoples' Day, and that Council authorize the Mayor to sign the Town of High River's Indigenous Peoples' Day Proclamation, and the Council direct administration to raise the Treaty 7 flag in honor of High River's Indigenous Peoples' Day.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Council correspondence for information. One correspondence regarding the Pride Crosswalk, one or two. One piece regarding the Rimrock feedlot. And at this time, I will ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that Council recess the regular meeting on June 10th, 2024 at 4:01 p.m. and move into a closed meeting.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
All in favor? Carried. Staff and council, please. Okay, one motion coming out of the in-camera session. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council appoint Lee Peckham to the Community Vitality Advisory Committee with a term ending date of October 31st, 2026, and that council direct administration to advertise openings for the remaining vacancies on the Town of High River boards and committees and return to council at a future date with recommendations.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned, 4:10.